Good man, Aidan. How are you keeping? You can't say I missed you this time. Go on, have. Good looking man.
Mrs. Stanley there, please.
Is that right?
Switch it around, please. Ray, switch it around. Listen, we had a more...
Where's your boots? Where's your muck boots?
No, sort of showing up.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're welcome here again to screen to the final replay, under 16 final replay, Simonstown v Duleek. The referee now, Kevin Moss, just looking at his watch, ready to just throw in the ball. Quite a nice evening here now, and hopefully at the end of 60 minutes play in this game, we'll certainly have a result. Just 3 weeks ago, remember, both sides came here, and after an hour's football, both sides ended equal to bring along tonight's replay. So hopefully tonight, extra time will be completed, and tonight one of these teams, either Duleek or Simonstown, will emerge the under-16 championship winner in 1986. All sides now just getting back into position. Simonstown playing down towards the far goals. Referee just throwing in the ball. A high ball comes into Paul Craig, but blocked down to the Brian McKenna for Duleek. Out now to Nigel McDermott for Duleek. In but intercepted by Philly Turner. Philly just can't hold on to it, but pulls on the ground. Eventually gets the ball up. This ball is quite greasy down the far line, but goes out over the line for a line ball for Duleek.
Just say testing.
Testing. This ball now, this line ball will be about to be taken by Ken Woods. Ken standing back now from the ball. Sends a lowish ball, comes into the hands of Colin Keys, blocks it down, he just can't quite hold on, and eventually gets it down to Sean McKeag. Sean gets the ball up, and looking out for his man, kicks a high ball in towards the square, in towards David Stanley and Conor Clinch. Conor blocks it down but is unable to hold it. Instead of that, Declan Taft for the league holds it. But again, it comes into the hands of John Dillon. John Dillon is fouled and a water free out. So this free now will be taken by Declan Taft for the league. Foul! Declan Taft kicks this ball, a highish ball, in towards the centre of the field. Caught by Colin Keys, but he can't quite hold on to it. Comes down then to Kevin Carroll for the league. Kevin sends it out over the line, and a line ball for Simonstown. This line ball now about to be taken by Colin Keys, the number 11, Simonstown, centre half forward.
There's a black leather bag in over the back seat. Your eye.
A highish ball by Colin, in towards the full forward line. Breaks loose, no one there, but eventually held on the ground by Declan Taft, and a free is awarded to Simonstown, dead straight in front of the Duleek goal, about 20 yards out.
Black leather bag.
This free will be about to be taken by Colin Keys, and it should hopefully give Simonstown the first score of this.
It's in the back of it. Good.
Yes, just after 2 minutes of play, Colin Keys put Simonstown ahead. The score now is Simonstown 1 point, Duleek no score. Lowish ball in towards the Duleek full forward, and they're intercepted by Neil House. Neil trying to grab it up. It's just a push for Duleek, and the free is awarded to Simonstown. The score now, with just 3 minutes gone, the Simonstown 1 point, Duleek no score. Neil White now about to take this shot. A high ball down along the line into the hands of Colin Keys. A great catch for Colin. Colin clears out to Peter Clark, the Simonstown midfielder. Peter sends a high ball in towards Conor Clinch, but Conor isn't there, and it's caught by John Taft. A foul there on John Dillon by the Simonstown forward line, and a free is awarded to Duleek about 40 yards out from the Duleek goals. This shot now down high. Philip Traynor bunches it down. Comes into Kevin Carroll. But full back, Simonstown full back, Tony Heaney catches it and clears it. A highish ball again, out towards Colm Keys. Colm holds it and sends a high ball into the corner down towards Conor Clinch. Yes, Conor has it in his hands, turns, tries to find his man, in towards David Stanley. David holds it, yes, gets her eventually up, but unfortunately he was penalised for picking it up off the ground. So a free is awarded to Duleek. This free now about to be taken by Declan Taff, the Duleek full back.
Yeah, that's better. I had a small technical problem there, but I'm all right. So
Right.
you can announce my sound is back right.
Okay, the sound is back right, Raymond informed me. Right, a highish ball out towards the midfield. Colm Keys again holds it and drives forward. He's penalised for a foul on him, and now Colm Keys will take this free about 50 yards out from the Duleek goals. This free will again be taken by the Simonstown number 11, Colm Keys.
What a technical problem.
Kicks a highish ball in towards the goal mouth, but again caught by Declan Taft there. Declan kicks it out, looks for his clearance, and eventually out towards Brendan McKenna. But Paul Craig intercepts it. Yes, Paul is fouled, they're pushing the back on Paul Craig, and another free is awarded to Simonstown. This free, which is about to be taken by Colm Keys again, is out near the sideline, and it's about 30 yards out from the Duleek goals. Colm takes a highish ball, but out towards the right and goes wide. So the score now, after just 6 minutes of play, is Simonstown 1 point, Duleek no score.
Oh, I had a small technical problem there, but got out. I got sorted out. No panic. That's the worst of rush in these games.
Yeah. Okay, now this kick out will be about to be taken by Declan Taff again for Duleek. Duleek now playing against the sun, and a rather quite strong sun up at this stage. Right, Declan has a kick out coming towards Kieran Flood. Yes, Kieran punches it down towards Alan Kavanagh and holds it himself, but it drops to the ground. Kieran again fighting for it, eventually gets it up. This greasy ball is making conditions very, very slippy. A ball out towards the wing towards Alan Kavanagh. Yes, it's not gone over the line. Alan Kavanagh gets it and sends a highish ball in towards the forward line, but again, no one seems to be there. So David Stanley is penalised for a free on Declan Taff, and the kick out now again will be taken by Declan Taff for Duleek. Yes, a highish ball out towards the middle of the field again. Comes into the hands of Sean McCaig. Sean battles his way out, sends a high relieving ball in towards Kieran Flood. Yes, Kieran tries to get this ball, but it's held by... Yes, held there by Damien Moore for Duleek, but he's penalised because he held it too long, and another free now is awarded to Simonstown, again about 30 yards out to the right of the Duleek goals, about 15 yards in from the line. Again, Colm Keys just walking back from this ball. Now walking up, kicks a highish ball again, slightly to the right, unfortunately, and wide. That's the second wide now by Colm Keys, just after 8 minutes of play in the first half. Declan Taff now places the ball for Duleek. Now from the kick out, dead into the centre of the field. Colm Keys goes up high, it blocks down to David Stanley. David holds it and is awarded a free. Again, this free about to be taken by Colm Keys, dead straight in the goals and about 50 yards out from the Duleek goals. With just 9 minutes gone, the score still remains Simonstown 1 point, Duleek no score. A highish ball but again towards to the right of the post and wide. Certainly he had the distance, but unfortunately he just hadn't the accuracy. Kick out now again, about to be taken by Declan Taff. Into the hands of Colin Keys again, comes to Peter Clark. Peter just can't quite hold on to it, but eventually it does. It's caught by Neil White, and Neil has been fouled, and the free now about to be taken by Sean McCaig. A sub now gone in for Duleek. Lads, who's that sub? Paddy Callahan. Paddy Callahan there, the number 6 just goes in there.
And Paddy's due to take this ring.
Okay, now while the some positional changes down to the league team, I'll brief you later on. This shot taken by Neil White actually. Highest ball was out over the line and wide. With just 11 minutes of play gone in the first half, the score is still the same as to 1 point to league, no score. From the kick out again by Declan Taff, high into the middle of the field. Breaks down to Sean McCaig, but it doesn't come to him. Instead of that, it's on the ground on towards Kevin Carroll and Brian McKenna. But Brian sends it out over the line, and a line ball for Simonstown. Line ball now about to be taken by Michael Byrne. The left half back for Simonstown. Yes, Michael kicks a lowish ball in towards the centre of the field. Comes to Colin Keys. Colin again heading goalward, but he's been tackled there by Paddy Callahan for the league. Gets it to Sean McCaig. Sean sends a high ball, but to the left of the post and wide. Another narrow miss there for Simonstown. With just 12 minutes of play gone. Just kick out again, about to be taken by Declan Taff. Sends a high ball out to the left. Comes into the hands there of Ken Woods for the league. But tackled by David Stanley. David kicks a high shot, but again to the right of the post and wide. This kick out now again, about to be taken by Declan Taff.
Come on, Ollie, spread out. Spread him. I don't want in the middle there. Spread out.
A highish ball in towards the centre of the field again. Comes to Ken Woods. Ken finds, gets loose to the league men to his right. Sends it in there towards Paul Moore. Paul sends a high forward ball in towards Nigel McQuail. But Mick Byrne is there for Simonstown. Mick trying to get the ball up, and eventually does. He's fouled, and a free is awarded to Simonstown for a foul on Michael Byrne. This kick out now about to be taken by Neil White. A highish ball out towards Peter Clark in the middle of the field, towards Sean McCaig. Sean has it and sends a high shot up towards Kieran Flood and Alan Kavanagh, but it's held by the Duleek man. Sends it down along the wing, but intercepted by Philly Traynor. Sends it back up to Conor Clinch. Conor Clinch with Alan Kavanagh inside. Sends a high shot in towards David Stanley. Yes, David has it. And yes, Oh, and hard luck there for goal. Had a shot, but unfortunately hit off the woodwork and rebounded out. A very hard luck story there for David Stanley, which could have certainly given Simonstown a very decisive lead. But it wasn't to be, and unfortunately he was penalised for a free on the Duleek man, and the free now is about to be taken by Declan Taff. But just 15 minutes there. A lowish ball out towards Colm Keys. Colm holds on to it. But he's been tackled and it's awarded a free. This ball dead straight in the middle of the field, about 50 yards out from the Duleek goals. Yes, a highish ball, but again out towards the right of the post and wide. That's 3 wides now for Colm, and that's coming after 15 minutes in the first half. So the league still remains. Simonstown 1 point, Duleek no score. Again, the kick out about to be taken by Declan Taff. Yes, a highish ball out towards the middle of the field. But Brian Lawler is penalised there for a foul on Paddy Callahan, and Duleek is awarded a free. This free now about to be taken by Ken Woods. Sends a lowish ball out towards Paul Craig's man, Brian McKenna. But this ball sent in towards Sims, intercepted by Tony Heaney. Tony sends it out to the wing towards Alan Kavanagh and Colm Keys. Colm breaks it down, but it scrambles on the ground. Colm trying to get at it, but it's put over the line for a line ball for Duleek.
Come on, Tony!
This line ball taken by Declan Taff. Yes, a highish ball, but Neil White has been fouled by Kevin Carroll, and a free has been awarded to Simonstown. This free now about around the middle of the field, about to be taken by Neil White. Yes, a highish ball up towards Alan Kavanagh. Alan holds it. Yes, sends a ball down to Kieran Flood. Kieran now heading towards, sends a highish ball in towards the forward line, into the hands of Conor Clinch, but Conor just can't quite hold on to it. Comes to Declan Taff for the lead. Declan sends a highish ball out, and Sean McKeag is penalised for a foul on the Duleek man. So free has been awarded to Duleek, just about 50 yards out from the Duleek goals. This shot about to be taken by Paul Moore. A highish ball towards the middle of the field, but again it's broken down, coming to no one. Kieran Flood fouls Brian McKenna, and a free is awarded to Duleek, just about 50 yards out from the Simonstown goals, about 5 yards in from the near sideline. This shot now about to be taken by Damien Moore. Damien sends a highish ball in towards the centre, comes between Neil White. Neil White gets his hand to it, breaks it down, but the ball is still scrambling on the ground. Eventually it comes there to Brian McKenna. Brian heading goalward for the league. Pass it out to Kevin Carroll. Carroll has a high shot over towards Michael Borden, but Mick can't quite hold on to it. Instead of that, it comes to Nigel McQuail. Nigel sends a highish ball in, but to the right of the post and wide. That's the first wide now for the league, and it comes with just 19 minutes of play gone in the first half. And the kick out now about to be taken by the Simonstown fullback Tony Heaney. Tony sends a highish ball well into the middle of the field, comes towards Peter Clark, but Peter can't quite hold on to it, still punches it. This ball is sent out over the line, or it's very close to the line. Yes, just gone to the line, and it's a Simonstown ball about to be taken now by Philip Traynor, or no, sorry, Neil White. Neil just placing the ball now. This ball about 40 yards out from the Simonstown goal mouth. Yes, a highish ball into the middle of the field, again towards Colm Keys. Colm holds the ball, tries to get free, eventually gets a shot in towards Alan Cavan and Conor Clinch. Yes, Conor holds it. He does. With Alan Cavan inside. Alan's loose, but he's been bottled. He's pulled down, and certainly there must be a penalty. It looks very as if there will be a penalty awarded for a foul on Alan Cavan. No, actually, I think it's a 14-yard free. No, it's a penalty. Penalty. This penalty now about to be taken by Colin Keys. Yes, a good ball by Colin Keys from a penalty gives Simonstown the score now, a goal. 1 goal and 1 point for Simonstown. Duleek no score. With just 20 minutes gone in the first half, Simonstown now have a clear 4-point advantage after doing most of the pressing in the last 20 minutes. This free now about to be taken out by, or the kick out about to be taken by Declan Taff. To score 4 points for Simonstown, or a goal and a point for Simonstown, no score for Duleek. Declan kicks a rather poorish shot out towards Stanley, but it comes to Sean McKeague. Sean gives it a kick out towards Conor Clinch. Conor, yes, trying to get inside towards David Stanley. David's behind, can't get it, eventually does, but unfortunately picks it up the ground and is penalised, and a free is awarded to Duleek. Again, Declan Taff about to take this free out for Duleek. Just about 30 yards out from the Duleek goals. Yes, a high kick in towards the middle of the field. Broken down by Sean McKeague. Sean can't quite hold on to it. It comes to Kevin Carroll. Kevin sending Duleek on an attack. Comes again then to Brian McKenna. Brian has been tackled by Brian Lawler. Again, eventually gets a high shot in towards Philip Traynor. But eventually, Gary Clinch is there to save Simonstown. Gary sends a high ball out towards Alan Kavanagh. A high ball, unfortunately, that he just can't quite hold up. And Colin Keys is penalised for a foul on Nigel McDermott. So a free now is awarded to Duleek, about 50 yards out from the Simonstown goals. This free now again about to be taken by Damien Moore. Yes, a highish ball out to the right. Comes into the hands of Kevin Carroll. Kevin is fouled about 30 yards out from the Simonstown goals and almost dead straight in front of it. This free now about to be taken by Kevin Carroll should give Duleek their first score. He goes for a lowish ball, but again it's caught by Philip Traynor. Philip kicks it out to the sideline. Kieran Flood is chasing. Eventually holds it, he does, he gets it clear. In towards Colin Keys. Colin is fouled. Colin is fouled there by Paddy Callahan. Takes a quick free into Conor Clinch. Conor gets it, sends it in towards Alan Kavanagh, but Alan can't just quite hold on to it. An awkward shot. Out then towards Paul Moore for Duleek. Paul left on his own, totally unmarked. Kicks a highish ball out towards the far line, out towards Kevin Carroll. Eventually Kevin is beaten for it by Neil White. Down to Sean McKeague. Sean McKeague and Peter Clark totally unmarked in the middle of the field. Sean sends a highish ball in towards the full forward line, but the goalie gives it a kick out over the line for a 50 for Simonstown. The goalie there, Anthony Flynn for Duleek, just gave the ball a kick out and eventually put it over the end line himself. Now it is 50 yards out, about to be taken by Sean McKeague. Yes, Sean sends a highish ball, but again in towards David Stanley, but eventually intercepted by the Duleek full-back, Declan Taff. A highish ball out towards Peter Clark. Peter grabs it and eventually gets it, but fouls Damien Moore, and a free is awarded to Duleek, about 50 yards out from the Duleek goals, for a foul on Damien Moore by Peter Clark. This free now about to be taken by Declan Taff. A shortish ball there to Ken Woods. Ken sends a highish ball, but again Peter Clark breaks it down, pulls on it there by out towards Sean McKeague. Sean gets it, beats Ken Woods, pulls away now, sends a ball in towards Neil White. Neil sends a highish ball in towards David Stanley and Conor Clinch. The ball running, but unfortunately intercepted by the Duleek man. Left on the ground, is still a struggle. Eventually cut up by John Dillon. John sends it out to Ken Woods. Ken sends another ball out to Kevin Carroll. Up towards Nigel McQuail. Nigel sends a highish ball over to the far corner and goes out over the sideline and wide. With just 25 minutes gone in the first half, the score is 1 goal and 1 point for Simonstown, no score for Duleek. Kick out now about to be taken with the Simonstown fullback Tony Hinney. Yes, Tony sends a highish ball out towards the middle of the field, towards Mickey Byrne. Breaks loose between Brian Lawler and Mick Byrne, but eventually comes into the hands of Nigel McQuail. But he puts it out over the sideline, and the sideline ball now is awarded to Simonstown. This sideline ball about to be taken by Neil White. About 40 yards out from the Simonstown goals. Yes, Neil sends a highish ball in towards the middle of the field, and it comes to Peter Clark. Peter Turnan has a highish shot down towards Colm Keys and Conor Clinch. Conor eventually can't hold on to it instead of that, but the ball is still left on the ground. Colm Keys pulling on it, can't get it. Breaks loose again to the Duleek men. Comes to Kevin Carroll. Kevin sends a high ball over to Brian McKenna. Brian runaway now. Paul Craig tackling. Highish ball over towards the far corner towards Paul Moore. Paul Moore sends a ball in towards James Talpin. James again sends it out towards Paul Moore. Paul sends a highish ball, but it's held down there by Mick Byrne and Philip. Philip Traynor actually saved that ball for Simonstown, so free is awarded to Simonstown about 14 yards out from their own goal mouth. A shortish free taken by Tony Heaney out to Neil White. Neil sends a highish ball out towards the middle of the field towards Kieran Flood. Kieran can't hold on to it, but tackles hard, but he's penalised for a foul on Damien Moore. This free now about 50 yards out from the Simonstown goals. It'll be taken by Damien Moore. Damien sends a high shot. Philip Traynor goes up for Paul Craigs. Eventually comes to Gary Clinch, but a foul on Gary Clinch by Nigel McDermott, a rather serious foul, makes referee there, Kevin Moss, take Nigel McDermott to one side and put him in the book for the first booking of this game. With just 28 minutes gone now in the first half. Yes, Gary Clinch is up on his feet again and seems to be recovered. And Nigel McDermott has been booked for the first playoff to be booked in this game for Duleek. Right, Tony Heaney now about to take this free. A lowish ball out towards Kieran Flood. Kieran just can't quite, eventually gets down for his foul by Kevin Carroll. This free now about to be taken by Philip Traynor actually. Yes, a lowish ball comes into the hands of Brian McKenna. Brian sends the ball out towards Damien Moore. But Damien sends the ball down along the line and eventually is put out by Paul McGrain. Awarding a line ball now to Simonstown. This line ball now about to be taken by Neil White with just 29 minutes gone in the first half. Score still 1 goal and 1 point for Simonstown, no score for Duleek. From the line ball in towards the centre, comes into the hands of Peter Clark. Peter sends a lowish shot in towards the middle of the field, but it's intercepted by Paddy Callahan for Duleek. And then goes to Ken Woods. Ken Woods looking for his man, eventually sends a high ball in, but it comes to Tony Heaney. Tony Heaney left totally on loose, kicks the ball out towards Peter Clark. Peter sends a highish ball in, again into the middle of the field, but Colm Keys just isn't there. Paddy Callaghan gets it instead. This ball intercepted by Philip Traynor and Kieran comes into the hands of Kieran Flood. Comes eventually to Conor Clinch. Conor is beaten and running now in towards David Stanley. David has the ball. Yes, and what a shot. A shot there by Conor Clinch. The goalie puts it over the line for a 50. What a hard luck shot there for Conor Clinch. Certainly if it had went in, it certainly would have been a decisive score in this game. Coming now with almost just seconds left to 30 minutes, with the referee maybe just had on a minute for injury time. This 50 now about to be taken by Sean McCaig. Sean McCaig takes a lovely ball, but unfortunately goes out to the right and goes wide, despite the efforts of Alan Kavanagh. Kick out now, about to be taken by Declan Taff with just seconds left to half time. In this final replay, under 16 final replay. Now from the kick out, the referee just blows dead on after 30 minutes of play in the first half. The score now, Simonstown 1 goal and 1 point, Duleek no score. Just to give you the teams now at this stage, the Duleek team is number 1, Anthony Flynn in goals, number 2, Brian Connor, number 3, the full-back Declan Taff, and number 4, John Dillon. The half-back line, number 5, Ken Woods, number 6, Paddy Callaghan, and number 7, Nigel McQuail. Centre field is number 8, Kevin Carroll, and number 9, Brian McKenna. Number 10 now is Paul Moore. That's a change from the last night. Originally, Nigel McQuail occupied the number 10 jersey, but tonight Paul Moore occupies it. Number 11, Nigel McDermott, and number 12, David Moore. And then the full forward line, number 13, James Talpin, number 14, Damien Moore, and number 15, Paul McCrane. Now the Simonstown team, on the other hand, is basically unchanged from the last night. In goals, number 1, Mark Johnson, number 2, Gary Clinch, full-back, Tony Heaney, and number 4, Neil White. Half-back line, number 5, Philip Traynor. Centre half-back is number 6, Brian Lawler, and number 7, then Michael Byrne. Midfield now for Simonstown, number 8, Paul Craig, and number 9, Peter Clark. Half-forward line, number 10, Kieran Flood, number 11, Colin Keys, and number 12, John McCaig. And the full forward line, number 13, Alan Kavanagh, number 14, Conor Clinch, and number 15, David Stanley.
Wave up at me. How are you? What's your name? You want to get up here, do you? All right.
Okay, now the referee just standing in the middle of the field just to make sure both teams are back in position, about to restart the next 30 minutes of this second half, under 16 final replay. The referee now just checking his watch. The score now at the moment, as we go into the second half, Simonstown 1 goal and 1 point, Duleek no score. Simonstown now playing against the sun. Referee now, just Kevin Moss, just about to throw in the ball. From the throw in now, it comes towards Paul Craig. Paul punches the ball down, but eventually breaks into Kevin Carroll. Kevin soloing towards the Simonstown goals. But a ball to the right of the post goes wide. Just in the opening couple of seconds. This kick out now, about to be taken by the Simonstown fullback Tony Heaney.
Let me put him back at first. That's an exact referee.
Yes, Tony sends a high ball out towards Peter Clark. Peter can't hold it, comes to Paul Craig. Paul just can't pull it on the ground, eventually comes to Damien Moore. Damien tackled by Michael Burden and is penalised for a free on Damien Moore. This free now about to be taken by Ken Woods. It's free about 50 yards out and to the right of the Samuelstown goals. Yes, Ken takes this shot, a lowish shot, but again it breaks loose. The ball on the ground. Brian Lawler pulls it up, but back into the hands of Ken Woods. Ken tackled by Brian Lawler, and a free is awarded to Duleek, about 50 yards out, almost in the centre of the goals. This free now about to be taken by Nigel McQuail. Yes, Nigel sends a highish ball in towards the goal mouth, brought down by Tony Heaney, eventually held by Michael Borden, and Michael gets a free out because the Duleek forwards were in the square. The kick out now again about to be taken by Tony Heaney. From the kick out towards Peter Clark and Paul Craig, but it comes into the hands of Brian McKenna for Duleek. Brian is tackled but eventually gets free, sends a highish ball in towards the hands, but held by Simonstown full-back Tony Heaney against the sun. Sends the ball out again, but again comes out to Kevin Carroll, completely unmarked. Kevin is tackled by Philip Trainer, and Paul Craig eventually comes to Brian McKenna. Brian sends a lowish ball in towards Damien Moore. Damien now heading goalward, sends a highish ball out to the far wing into the hands of Paul McGrain. Paul still on the ground, eventually trying to get in, gives it back out to Kevin Carroll, is left unmarked. Carroll tries a high shot, but it goes out over the line into the hands of Michael Byrne, unfortunately, to award a 50 to Duleek. With just 3 minutes gone in the second half, Duleek certainly have put on some pressure on the Simonstown backline. This 50 yards about to be taken now by Kevin Carroll to Duleek number 8. A highish ball in there. Right into the hands of Tony Heaney. Tony sends a shot out towards Kieran Flood. Yes, Kieran eventually gets it into his hands, looking for his man. Sends a highish ball over to Sean McKaig. Simonstown now beginning to get on the attack again. Yeah, Sean solo, completely unmarked, looking to try and get a space, but eventually messes up the ball a bit. Tries to get it up off the ground, but is tackled by Ken Woods and has been penalised for a tackle on Sean McKaig. This free now about to be taken by Michael Borden, about 50 yards out from the Duleek goals. Yes, Michael sends a highish ball, but again there's no Simonstown man there. Unfortunately, it comes into the hands of Kevin Carroll. Kevin tries to find his man and does, finds Damien Moore. Damien sends a highish ball into the far corner, but the ball is handled there by Brian Lawler, fouls James Talpin, and a free is awarded now into Duleek, just about 30 yards out and about 10 yards in from the sideline. This free about to be taken by Nigel McQuail for Duleek. Highish ball in towards the centre of the square, but it eventually comes into Kevin Carroll. Kevin trying to find his angle and is penalised for holding the ball too long, and a free is awarded to the Duleek. The referee now has brought it on an extra 10 yards for indiscipline there by the Duleek player. This kick out about to be taken by Tony Heaney towards Paul Craig. Paul eventually can't hold on. It goes over the line for a line ball for actually Simonstown, because the Duleek man put it over the line. Bit of indecision here as regards what way the ball should go. So eventually it's decided, yes, he decided to award it to Lee, which he should have in the first place. This kick now about to be taken by Kevin Carroll. Yes, Kevin sends a highish ball, but Tony Heaney waiting for it, eventually gathers it, left totally unmarked, sends it out towards Kieran Flood. Kieran is fouled and accidentally more so than anything else, and eventually a free is awarded to Simonstown about 50 yards out from the Simonstown goal, taken by Neil White. down towards Column Keys. Philip Traynor left totally unmarked. Philip runs on with Paul Craig on his outside, and is fouled there by Ken Woods. This free now about 40 yards out, 50 yards out actually from the Duleek goals, and Column Keys about to take it.
Get back here! Here, back, come on him!
Yes, Column sends a lowish ball in towards David Stanley. David has it and has a shot and sends it into the net. She gives the score now. Simonstown 2 goals and 1 point. Duleek no score. That score there taken by David Stanley, who just got his hands to it and just found the back of the net. Certainly, just with 7 minutes of play gone in the second half, certainly gives Simonstown the edge, and certainly a 7-point lead at this stage. From the kick out now by Declan Taff, high into the middle of the field, comes towards Peter Clark, but eventually finds into Ken Woods. Ken is left totally unmarked and heading towards the Simonstown goal. Neil White goes to tackle him, blocks it, finds his man, but there's men left loose in the centre of the field. A high ball in towards the square, but Tony Heaney unfortunately just can't get his hands to it, unfortunately, and the ball goes over the sideline and goes, or over the end line and goes wide. I thought that at one stage Tony had got his hands to it, but luckily enough he didn't. So Tony now about to place the ball for the kick out. Yes, kick out here towards the sideline. Comes up towards Paul Craig. Paul holds it, knocks it down to Mick Byrne. Makes a shot half block. Ken Woods is left unmarked again. But again, Paul Craig gets his hands to it. Peter Clark grabs it. Peter gets a high ball up towards Conor Clinch and Colin Keys. Yes, but it breaks loose. Colin Keys eventually trying to get his hands, and it's put over the sideline there in desperation by Paddy Callahan there for Duleek. So now a sideline ball about to be taken by Sean McKeag. Spectators now at the moment trying to find the ball. So certainly with just almost 9 minutes gone, this kick out now about 50 yards out from the Duleek goals. Sean McKeag now just standing back to take this sideline ball. Yes, the ball in towards the centre towards Peter Clark. Peter grabs her and sends a high ball in towards the square. David Stanley tries to hold it but can't. Instead of that, it comes into Declan Taff. Declan tries to clear it, but again David Stanley tackles him. Eventually it finds its way down between Philip Traynor. Philip gets the ball, is tackled but still is going, heading towards the Duleek goal. Philip still soloing, going away totally, sends a high ball in towards Conor Clinch. Conor can't quite hold on to David Stanley again, but unfortunately Simonstown have been penalised for being in the square, and a free has been awarded to Duleek. From the kick out now about to be taken by Declan Taff. A lowish ball out towards the middle of the field. 2 Duleek men there unmarked. Eventually comes into Neil White. Neil sends it down towards the far corner. David Stanley running out first. Yes, eventually gets it, but being tackled by Ken Woods. Declan is tackled and a free is awarded to, David is tackled and a free is awarded to Simonstown. Ken Woods there been penalised for a tackle on David Stanley. This ball now about 30 yards out from the Duleek goals and out rather to one side. Colin Keys now about to take this free. With just 10 minutes, a highish ball. Yes, good ball, but Simonstown players been penalised for being in the square, and unfortunately no score there for Simonstown. The score still, after 10 minutes of play in the second half, Simonstown 2 goals and 1 point, Duleek no score. Declan Taff sends a high ball out towards Paul Craig. Paul can't hold on to it, but Kieran Flood does. Kieran sends a high ball and sends it over the bar. A great point there taken by Kieran Flood after 11 minutes of play in the second half. The score now after 11 minutes of play in the second half, Simonstown 2 goals and 2 points, Duleek no score. Declan Taff now again Just placing the ball to give the kick out now for Duleek. Yes, a highish kick out towards the middle of the field. Colm can't hold on to it. Eventually Colm does. Kicks it, but it's been blocked around and messed about. Eventually comes into its hands of the Duleek men. But Mick Burden is tackling there. And Peter Clark. But eventually it comes Carroll, who's fouled by Peter Clark. And a free is awarded to Duleek from the middle of the field. Kevin Carroll just seems to be a bit injured now at this stage, and certainly the referee is called in for a bit of attention. But he's okay, he's up on his feet again. A shortish free, taken there, but it comes into the hands of Neil White. Neil gets it, eventually tries to find his man, eventually does find Sean McCaig and Michael Burden, two men totally unmarked. Sean kicks a highish ball down towards the forward line. It's blocked down there by the number 11 for the league, Nigel McDermott, but eventually Colm Keys gets it. Been bottled up, but Colm still gets a shot in towards David Stanley. David pushing up for the ball, eventually gets it loose to Conor Clinch. Conor on the loose again, sends the ball over the bar. It could have been so easily a goal, but Conor is content and gets a point. So the score now, after 12 minutes of play in the second half, Simonstown 2 goals and 3 points. Duleek no score. As you can see, the supporters are quite boisterous at this moment in time. After 13 minutes of play, Simonstown now with a clear lead of 9 points to Duleek's no score. A highish ball again. Simonstown gets their hand to it, but again Colm Keys gets it. Being bottled up, Colm still gets a shot in towards David Stanley. David totally left loose. Has a go at a point and gets it. Yes, to put Simonstown even further ahead. The score now, after 13 minutes of play in the second half, with just 17 minutes remaining in this half to full time. The score at the moment is Simonstown 2 goals and 4 points. Duleek no score. Right. The kick out now again about to be taken Declan Taff. Yes, it comes to 2 Duleek men. Eventually broke down, but being tackled hard by the Simonstown man. But it finds its way to Sean McCaig. Sean hands on the ground, but the referee doesn't see it. Eventually comes to Paul Craig. Paul just can't quite hold on to it. Comes to Michael Burden and Neil White. Neil charging for it. Eventually gets a kick out, but it doesn't go far. Now goes to Kevin Carroll for Duleek. Kevin now into Nigel McQuail. Duleek now still on the rampage. Nigel McQuail tries to get a highish ball in towards the full forward line. Eventually does. In towards James Talpin. James has a shot, but again it's saved by the goalie there, Mark Johnson, hit off the back into Gary Clinch. Gary is Gary is fouled there by the number 15 Paul McGrain, and Simonstown is awarded a free out there. That ball just which hit the woodwork, Mark Johnson had it covered anyway, eventually found his way into the hands of Gary Clinch. This kick out now about to be taken by Tony Heaney. Yes, out towards the side of the ball, out towards Kieran Flood, but unfortunately just Kieran can't get there in time. It goes to the sideline, and it's a sideline ball for Duleek, about to be taken by Damien Moore. With just 15 minutes now gone in the second half, the score is Simonstown 2 goals and 4 points, Duleek no score. Yes, Damien has a short shot in towards Nigel McQuail. Duleek desperately trying to get a score, but again kicks over to the right and eventually goes wide. Right, this kick out now about to be taken by Tony Heaney. Yes, Tony sends a high ball out towards the wing. Comes into the hands of Sean McCaig. Just Sean can't quite hold on to it, but still has the speed. 2 Duleek men fall. But eventually it comes into Brian McKenna. Still on the ground. Brian McKenna manages to get it. Sean McCaig still tackling. But Sean is penalised for tackling after the ball, and a free is from where the ball is landed. Now Sean McCaig is certainly going to find his way into the book of the referee. This coming with just 16 minutes gone in the second half. Sean McCaig is the first Simonstown player to be booked now in this game. This ball now just about 20 yards out or 21 yards out, certainly from a scoreable position, and about to be taken by James Talpin. James tries a low shot, but it comes into the hands of Kieran Flood. Kieran sends the ball out towards the wing. It's been chased there by Sean McCaig and Paul Craig. The ball is still on the ground, eventually comes his way into the hands of Nigel McDowell. Nigel is awarded a free in for a foul by Brown Lawler. This about to be taken by the number 9, but comes into the hands of Neil White. Neil White gathers it, able to read what was going to happen, sends it over towards the wing towards Kieran Flood. Kieran eventually holds it, eventually gets it, comes to Colm Keys. Colm is fouled by Paddy Callaghan, and a free is awarded to Simonstown. Again, Paddy Callaghan, the Duleek player, now being reprimanded by the referee and being put in the book for a serious tackle there on Colm Keys. This kick now about to be taken by Neil White, with just 18 minutes gone now in the second half. Neil takes a high shot in towards the middle of the field towards Kieran Flood. Kieran blocks it down, but he just can't quite the distance. Eventually comes into the Duleek man. Coming between Neil White. Neil White holds it on Philly Traynor. Philly Traynor gets it, trying to find a man, finds Peter Clark loose in the centre of the field. Simon Peters going a solo run now himself. Sends a high ball in towards the full forward line. David Stanley and Declan Taft goes up, but David Stanley is penalised for a foul on the Duleek full back, and a free is awarded now to Duleek, about 14 yards out from the Duleek goals. See, there are some of the same as Town Mentos going out. I'm just trying to see who's been injured there. It looks as if Brian Lawler is injured now at this stage. How serious it is, I don't know. I see Thomas Clinch out there, Jimmy Heaney and Paddy Clark. I see he's getting on his feet. Whether he's good enough now to continue or not, I don't know. He seems to be winded. He got a rather serious fall there. Yes, he just seems as if he's winded. Just receiving some attention. Hopefully he'll be able to get back and resume his position. A bit groggy, but howsoever, I'm sure he will recover. From the free, it's a ball out towards the sideline, and eventually goes over the line, and a line ball there for Simonstown. The line ball there was put over by Kevin Carroll. Sean McCaig now about to take this line ball. Yes, a high ball, but comes into the hands of the league man there, Brian McKenna. Brian trying to forage his way out. Eventually Kieran Flood tackles him. Eventually Conor Clinch does seem to get it, but some dangerous tackling there by Kevin Carroll there for Duleek. But Simonstown at least get the free out of it. This kick again now about to be taken by Sean McCaig. With just 20 minutes now gone in the second half, the score still stands at Simonstown 2 goals and 4 points, Duleek no score. A lowish ball comes towards Colm Keys. Colm turning to try and get his angle, but the ball is put over the line by the Duleek man for a 50 for Simonstown. This 50 now probably about to be taken by Peter Clark, I would say. With just 10 minutes remaining of normal time, with the exception of some injury time in the second half, Peter has a shot towards Philip Traynor, a short shot. Philip gets it. Has a go at a point, a score in towards Conor Clinch. Conor holds it. It's been bombarded by the Duleek man and eventually loses the ball. So a free is awarded to Duleek. Referee just not says no, you weren't in the right position, and makes the players put it back again. Duleek very anxious to try and push ahead. Kevin Carroll there left Ken Woods. Declan Taft now about to take this shot. Simonstown certainly marking up all the loose men. Comes towards Paul Craig. Paul holds it. Solos in. Tries to get into a scoreable position. Sends a very high ball, but unfortunately goes to the right of the post and wide. A great effort there by Paul Craig, the Simonstown midfielder, but unfortunately just to the right of the post and wide. With just now 9 minutes of normal time remaining, with the exception of injury time. The score is Simonstown 2 goals and 4 points, Duleek no score. This kick out now about to be taken by the goalie Anthony Flynn. A high kick out towards the middle of the field. Colin Keys is there, just gets his hands to it but not high enough. Comes there to Brian McKenna. Brian left totally unmarked. Paul Craig goes to tackle him. Has a shot. Up, but Michael Burden is there. Yes, Michael seems to have the speed. He gets it, turns and loses man. Has a shot back towards Paul Craig. Paul tries to get up for it, blocks it down for Sean McKaig. But the ball comes loose eventually to Neil White. Neil tries to pull in it on the ground, but again it comes into Nigel McQuail. Nigel sends a high ball in towards the forward line, eventually into James Talpin. James has a shot and sends it over the bar to give Duleek their first score of the game, coming after 23 minutes of play in the second half. The kick out now about to be taken by Tony Heaney. That was the first score. The score still stands. Simonstown 2 goals and 4 points, Duleek 1 point. A kick out towards Peter Clark. Peter just can't quite hold it, but is pushed on the back and gets his free. This free now again about to be taken by Neil White, about 50 yards out from the Simonstown goal mouth. Neil has a shot out towards Philip Traynor. Philip running loose for the shot, eventually gets it and sends it down towards Alan Kavanagh. Alan up to Kieran Flood. Kieran looking for the ball. Simonstown certainly with an open goal mouth at this stage. Kieran gets it up, eventually making his way in. It's been tackled and unfortunately the referee has penalised him for overplaying the ball. Free now about to be taken by Ken Woods for Duleek. About 20 yards out from the Duleek goals. Sends a shortish one. But again Kieran Flood is there, comes into the hands of Kieran Flood. Kieran tries to find the Simonstown man, but eventually is intercepted by Duleek. Out to Nigel McQuail. Nigel loose again. Duleek now loose in the centre. Comes towards the full-back Declan Taff, who's playing out into the forward position now. Comes towards Kevin Carroll. Kevin passes. Tony Heaney tackling hard. Comes out eventually towards the league number 10, Paul Moore. But blocked down there by Gary Clinch. Tries to get it up. Gary blocks again. Brian Lawler trying to get to it. Eventually Colin Keys seemingly does. Gets his boot to it. Over towards Kieran Flood. Kieran gets the ball, but been seriously fought after by Damien Moore for Duleek. Damien gets it. Comes to Paddy Callahan. Paddy left unmarked. But again Gary Clinch gets it and gets the ball out. Gary seems to fall down injured. Comes to Sean McKaig. Sean now loose in the centre. Gives the ball up towards Alan Kavanagh. But this ball has been intercepted by John Dillon for Duleek. Duleek trying desperately to get on equal terms with Simonstown. From the kick out now, Kevin Carroll is penalised for overplaying the ball and a free is awarded to Simonstown. After 25 minutes of play, the score at the moment in the second half of this under-16 final replay, Simonstown 2 goals and 4 points, Duleek 1 point. Neil White about to take this shot. Short shot up towards Paul Craig. Paul Craig tries to punch it down, but there's no Simonstown man there. A longish ball down towards the corner towards Brian Lawler and James Talpin. James gets the better of Brian, but Brian's still tackling hard. Comes out towards Kevin Carroll, who's left totally unmarked. Kevin heading towards the goal mouth, has a shot at a goal, but Gary Clinch gets his foot to it. Comes in towards Philip Traynor. Philip eventually gets it and saves Simonstown. A highish ball out again towards Peter Clark, but comes into the hands of Nigel McQuail. Nigel sends a highish ball in. Again, Tony Heaney unfortunately gets his hands to it and puts it out over the end line for a 50. So a 50 now awarded to Duleek. The score still 2 goals and 4 points for Simonstown. Duleek 1 point, and just almost 26 minutes of play gone in the second game, in the second half. This kick now about to be taken by Damien Moore. Sends a highish ball. Brought down, comes into the hands of James Talpin. James trying desperately to get in. Duleek trying desperately to bore that net out of it, but the ball is still on the ground. And Brian Lawler is penalised there for a foul on a Duleek forward, and a free is awarded now about 21 yards out. Highish ball sent over the bar there by Ken Woods. That gives Duleek now their second point of the game. With just 3 minutes of normal time left, with the exception of the referee. This kick out now about to be taken by Tony Heaney. See, there's a substitute going on there. For Gary Clinch. This looks like Peter Waters, I think, just replaced Gary Clinch there. Ball comes between Kieran Flood and Philip Traynor. Kieran gets it. Sends a highish ball on towards Alan Kavanagh, but it's intercepted by Brian Connor for Duleek. Brian finds it down to Kevin Carroll. Kevin again goes towards Damien Moore. Damien Moore being totally again towards Kevin Carroll. Two Duleek men totally unmarked here. Brian McKenna has a shot in towards the goal. Eventually comes, but Brian Lawler gets his boot to it, but clears it out. Eventually comes to Kieran Flood. Kieran gets it. Kieran looks for a shot, tries to find his man. Highish ball in towards the Duleek men again, in towards the goal mouth, certainly putting Simonstown under pressure again. Eventually falls into the hands of David Murphy. But the referee is awarding a free to Duleek, about 20 yards out for... Referee says no, he doesn't believe certainly in the quick freeze and penalised the Duleek men, certainly giving Simonstown a chance to realign their goals. This shot now about to be taken by Brian McKenna. With just 2 minutes left. Duleek certainly going to try desperately to get a goal. This shot now about to be taken by Declan Taff, Declan Taff. Declan has a high shot, but again it's punched out there by the Simonstown man. But again, a shot there by Kevin Carroll gives Duleek their third point now. With just 1 minute of normal time left, and whatever injury time the referee may add on, the score now is 2 goals and 4 points for Simonstown, 3 points for Duleek. From the kick out goes to Michael Burden. Michael gets the ball, holds onto it, eventually looking to try and clear it. Solos gets a high shot, comes towards Sean McCaig and Gary Clinch. Gary eventually gets it, but the ball is put over the line by John Dillon. And a line ball now for, it should be for Simonstown, but however the linesman says it's the other way. Comes to Paul Craig. Paul intercedes it for Simonstown, has been tackled, but Paul's still going free, sends a highish ball in towards David Stanley. David running for the ball, eventually gets it, but being tackled, and a free is awarded now to Simonstown about 50 yards out for a foul on David Stanley by the Duleek full back line. Namely Ken Woods now, who has replaced Declan Taff at full back. This shot now dead straight in front of the goals, 50 yards out, about to be taken by Colin Keys. Highish ball, cuts off the rebound, comes to Sean McCaig. Sean loses it. Kieran Flood has a go, eventually scrambles loose again, comes to Sean McCaig. Sean has a high shot, but it's still not gone. Comes into the hands of the goalie, but Simonstown have been awarded, or Duleek have been awarded a free out for a foul there on one of the defenders, one of the Duleek defenders. Ken Woods takes a quick kick out. 30 minutes gone now at this stage. Normal time up, and we're into injury time at this stage. Simonstown in a 7-point lead. A ball goes to Alan Kavanagh, or Kieran Flood. Kieran gets it in towards the full forward line. Conor Clinch can't hold on to it, but Sean McCaig does. Sean has a go at a goal. Eventually comes out to Peter Clark. Peter unfortunately picks it up off the ground and is penalised for picking it up off the ground. The referee blows at the end of 31 minutes of normal time, at the end of a total of 61 minutes of play. Simonstown in this under-16 final replay have managed to captivate their first ever under-16 championship in 1986 on the 19th of August. What a great achievement from a game that was so close to last night. Simonstown have run out to be 7 points winners with a final scoreline of 2 goals and 4 points for Simonstown to 3 points for Duleek.
Your commentator having a drink after all that.
Get your umbrella.